Welcome to The Explainer. You ever feel like your whole mood can be hijacked by something someone else says or does? Well, today we're going to break down some really powerful insights from a talk by Loon that gets right to the heart of that. This is from a Hong Kong retreat with materials put together by Chee, and it's all about how our own minds are actually shaping the reality we experience.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with a super common reaction, one we've all had. Then, we'll peel back the curtain on the mind's hidden role as a kind of projector. After that, we'll get into why just knowing about this stuff isn't enough. And finally, we'll walk through a practical path that can lead to some real freedom.
Okay, let's kick things off with a situation that's probably going to feel very familiar. It's that moment when something happens out there, and it feels like it's the absolute, undeniable cause of how you feel in here. I mean, it seems so simple, right? You see something, you feel an emotion, and your brain just instantly connects the dots. That thing over there made me feel this way. The coworker is the problem. Their behavior is the reason I'm annoyed. And we don't even question it. It's just automatic.
And here's where we're asked to just pause. To challenge that fundamental assumption we make probably 100 times a day. Is the world out there really the one pulling the strings on our emotions? Or is there something else going on?
This is where we get to the core revelation of the talk. It's this profound shift in perspective, where we're invited to move our focus away from what's happening outside of us and turn it inward to what's happening inside our very own minds.
So normally we think it's a one-way street. Object causes feeling. The coworker makes me annoyed. Simple. But the actual process being described here is the total opposite. First, a feeling, in this case aversion, arises in the mind. And then the mind projects that feeling onto a neutral object. So the coworker isn't inherently annoying. Our mind is literally painting them with the color of our own annoyance. So what's doing all this projecting? The teaching points to these two fundamental forces. Think of them like colored lenses on our mind's projector. There's craving, or tan, which pulls things in and slaps a good or desirable label on them. And then there's aversion, or chan, which pushes things away and labels them bad or annoying. These two are constantly coloring our view of a world that is, in itself, completely neutral.
And this is so crucial. The person, the thing, the situation, it's all innocent. A person isn't born beautiful. A coworker isn't inherently annoying. These are just labels, projections that our own mind's craving and aversion are casting onto them. The object itself is clean. Now, it's one thing to hear this and go, oh, okay, that makes sense. But it's a completely different thing for it to actually change how you react in the heat of the moment. Because as we're about to see, just having the information, that's not the whole story.
The speaker makes this really critical distinction. On one hand, you have knowledge. That's intellectual. It's being able to repeat the idea. I know my mind is projecting. But on the other hand, you have understanding. And that's a direct, first-hand seeing of this process as it's happening inside you. Knowledge, it's pretty weak when it comes to changing our gut reactions. But that deep experiential understanding, that's where the real power is.
This quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? If we just try to use this idea like some kind of mental trick, telling ourselves it's just a projection, we find it doesn't really help much when we're genuinely seeing red. Without that direct personal experience, this whole concept is just a nice theory.
So, how do we cross that bridge? How do we go from this weak intellectual knowledge to powerful, life-changing understanding? Well, the talk offers a very clear, practical solution, a special kind of internal investigation.
Now, investigation here doesn't mean becoming a detective and analyzing your coworker. Why are they on their phone? Did they finish their work? That's still looking outward. True investigation, or DO-cha, means doing a 180-degree turn with your attention and looking directly at the feeling of annoyance itself. What does this aversion actually feel like as a raw sensation in your mind and body?
And this really lays out our two choices. The indirect path is to suppress, to fight the feeling, to try and cover it up with another thought. It's like trying to force a lid on a boiling pot. It's just not going to work. The direct path, though, is investigation. It's turning towards the feeling with curiosity, acknowledging it's there, and just watching it, without judgment.
So what happens when you actually practice this direct, honest investigation consistently? Well, something really remarkable starts to shift. It's not that the feelings just vanish, but your whole relationship to them is completely transformed.
By looking directly at aversion or craving, you start to see them for what they really are. They're not some deep personal failing you have. They're just impersonal mental events. They pop up because of certain conditions, just like clouds form in the sky. You see that they aren't me or mine. They're just nature doing its thing.
And this investigation leads to this incredibly profound and liberating place. You realize that no person, no object, no event out there has the built-in power to make you feel a certain way. The power was never out there to begin with. It was always in the mind's projection. The world starts to lose its grip on your inner state.
So we end with this, a simple but really powerful question to carry with you. The next time a strong feeling flares up, annoyance, anger, desire, where are you going to put your attention? Will you keep looking outward, analyzing and blaming the world? Or will you have the courage to turn around and investigate that rich, dynamic, and ultimately freeing landscape of your own mind?